my channel. If you're new here, my name is Isamar. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your post notifications that way you do not miss a video every time I post. Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to be giving you all 2 stories, which I wish I could tell you all the crazy stories I have. But in order to do that, I'd be here more than like an hour plus, maybe even a day. So I obviously can't do that, but I did go ahead and choose out 2 stories. And if you all end up liking this video, leave a comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button and let me know if y'all want a part 2, because I am more than happy to be doing a part 2 for you. So a little backstory about my job. I was turning 16 years old, and thankfully I had everything I needed in life. You know, I had a roof over my head. That's like the most important thing, and I was living, you know. But I was like, you know what, as I'm growing up, I want to learn how to handle my own money and be responsible. So I was like, what's the best thing to do that? Well, get a job. So I went ahead and applied at couple of places. Yeah, it was like a couple of places that I applied to. I believe I applied to 4 places. And it turns out that I just became a server at 16 years old, which was my first job, no experience, you know. I was kind of scared, but then not really, because I'm like a little social butterfly. So I wasn't really scared, and I ended up loving it. So at the place I worked at, it was more of a smaller restaurant. So there was probably like 20 or like 25 dining tables, which like usually at restaurants you'll see like a lot of servers. Like at the restaurant I worked at, it was usually just 1 server, max 2 servers if it was like a very busy day, like Sunday, since a lot of people go out to eat after church. But and I was in high school, so I had like all the afternoon shifts. So usually my shifts were like from 4 p.m. like or 5 to like closing time. But I ended up loving it, and I just something that I did want to share with y'all. Being a server actually opened my eyes, and when I say that, I feel like it made me much more kinder, like much more considerate. And not saying that I wasn't before, but it does open your eyes, because you're so used to going to restaurants or to stores and seeing everything from like the customer's point of view, but we don't really stop and realize like how does the employee feel, or what are they thinking, or you know what I mean, like. And a lot of people belittle employees that work at fast food restaurants or like at stores or like at the mall, and I feel like that's completely wrong. We're all equal, and we should treat each other the way we want to be treated. And you know, we're all human beings, we all go through things. I mean, yes, I understand that you're expected, you want to go to a restaurant and you want everything like to come out perfect, you know, and have a great experience, because obviously, like, yes, I understand that part. But when an employee messes up in something, I feel like you shouldn't just be rude. Like, you know, I feel like you should consider like maybe they're having a tough day, or maybe it wasn't their fault, and you know, and especially if they're apologizing, like take that into consideration and just be kind to them, because we're all equal. But before I rant on this whole life lesson, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into these stories. So I have 2 stories for you all, which I said I have a bunch, but I'm gonna be choosing 2 of them. And in the dining room, well, I was a server, and the dining room had like about 25 tables, like I said, right? And we had carry out, and we also had dining. So we had specials for dining, and then we had specials for carry out. Obviously, if you were gonna do a special for carry out, you obviously had to take it with you, because that was the special for carry out. If you're dining in, you can use a special for carry out. Obviously, common sense, right? Well, obviously we did have some customers that wanted to like do it like vice versa or so. Well, to start my story number 1, I was at the back of like, not at the back of the restaurant, but like I was where like the kitchen area was, I guess you can say, like in the back. And it was dead that day, and then I come to the front, and my manager tells me that there was these customers that had a carry-out special, but at like the very last minute they wanted to dine in, and obviously they can't do that. But my manager was so nice and was like, you know what, like, I'll give you the carry-out special. I'll let you dine in. Reason being because the customers were saying, oh, it's because like we already took a while to come pick up the food and it's already probably gonna get cold by the time we go home. So my manager understood and was like, you know what, like the only thing that I can't do is bring out the food like in our dining trays since it was already boxed up, which like from my perspective that doesn't really matter because you were gonna take it boxed up to your house and then just put it on plates, and we were still gonna give them plates. So I mean, they were okay with it, right? They were like, yeah, like that's like sure, right? And also the drinks, they couldn't get like fountain drinks since they had already bought in like those to-go drinks, right? So they were like totally okay with it, but they did tell my manager that they wanted to add wings to the tab. So I come to the front, ow! I come to the front and my manager tells me that they wanted to add something to their order, and she explained to me like what was going on with their order, you know, like the whole carry-out special stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, like yeah, perfect. So I go up to them, and every time I would go up to the table, I'd always say hi. Well, obviously I would sit them down because like I said, it was just me for the dining table. So I was like a host slash server, and like, yeah, that's the way I can explain it. So, and I would also like be like a cashier because I would like charge them when they would leave and you know, and stuff like that. Well, anyways, so I go up to them and I'm like, hi, my name is Isamar. I'm gonna be your server for today. Like, how can I help you? And then I talk to them like, oh yeah, my manager explained to me this, but she said you wanted to add wings to the order, like, and then they're like, yeah, we wanted to add wings. So at the table, it was 1, 2, 3, there was 4 people in total. It was the mom, her son, the son's girlfriend, and another son, but he was like 4 years old. So it was the mom, her 2 sons, and like the girlfriend of the oldest, right? Which was also my age. And I found out because I ended up knowing him, right? But I hadn't seen him yet because he was in the bathroom. So like the lady's like, oh, sí quería agregar alitas, right? She started talking to me in Spanish, and well, I obviously know how to speak Spanish. So I was like, oh, okay, ma'am. And then I'm like, le gustaría con hueso sin hueso, you know, traditional or boneless. And she looks at me and says, ¿qué? And I was like, les gustaría con hueso sin hueso. Like I was kind of like, what? Like, you know, like I just got a little shy, I guess you can say, and or nervous. And she's like, pues que son alitas sin hueso, sin hueso. She's like, obviamente con hueso. And I was like, girl, come. Like in my head I was like, girl, I'm just wanting, like, you know, it's a simple question. Just say traditional. Like if you want with bone, just say con hueso, and if you want without, just say without. Like I don't see why you have to respond to me in that way. But I just went ahead and brushed it off. Like it was like nothing to me, you know. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like I get it, like whatever, you know. So I was like, how many would you like? So since she said traditional, our traditional orders were 6, 12, 18, or 36. She had said 18, but her son's girlfriend said, oh, I think we should get 36 because blank, when I say blank, I'm saying his name, but I'm not gonna say his name. So blank eats a lot of wings. So she's like, ah, okay, entonces tráeme las 36. And I'm like, okay, so alrighty. So I went ahead and like I wouldn't write down my orders because I would just memorize everything. So I was like, okay. And then she's like, no lo vas a escribir? And I was like, no, ma'am. I'm like, I take orders like through like just my memory. She's like, ah, okay. And she's like, nomás falta que me traigas todo equivocado. And I was like, girl, like, okay, bet. But I was like, okay, like whatever. Like I just brushed it off. I was like, again, brushed it off twice until I asked her, okay, what sauce would you like? And I usually say, what sauce would you like? We have. And she's like, pues que tienes? And I was like, I was about to explain, girl, but okay, like, you know, I was like, with my little cute smile, you know, like if nothing was happening. So I continued to explain that we have honey barbecue, buffalo mild, and like when I just said buffalo mild, she cut me off and she was like, sí, esa la de buffalo. And I was like, okay, I'm like, le gustaría buffalo mild, medium, or burning hot? And she looks at her son's girlfriend. Mind you, her son is still in the bathroom. And she's like, ¿qué está diciendo? I'm like, bueno, le digo, bueno, mild casi no pica, medium tiene nomás un sabor que sí pica, pero casi no. Y le digo, y burning hot sí pica. She's like, pues las que pican. She's like, ¿qué son alitas búfalo si no pican a las? And I was like, I was literally just staring at her, like, and the girl, like, back and forth, like, are you serious? Like, seriously, like, how hard is it to literally just say buffalo burning hot or las que pican de más, you know? Like, it's not hard at all. Like, why do you have to say, well, the hottest ones, like, what are wings if they're not like burning and like cussing at me? Like, who goes out and says, you know, today I'm gonna make a server's life miserable, like I'm gonna make her shift miserable? Like, are you kidding me? Before I walk away, I was about to pick up like the menus because I had brought in them to her because she wanted to see, like, obviously she wanted wings, so I brought them to her so she could see like the orders. Her son comes out of the restroom and he's like, ¿qué está pasando, mom? Like, why are you screaming? And she's like, pues esta like ni sabe tomar una orden, and I don't know what. And then she looks at me, she's like, yo te conozco. And I was like, what? Like, I don't know you, like, who are you? Like, and then like I hadn't even looked at her son yet, like stared at him for so long so I can know that I knew him. And then he's like, what happened? Like, he tells his girlfriend, right? And she like tells him like what's going on. He's like, pero mamá, ¿por qué estás gritando? Nomás dile que quieres que las que pican de más, like las que pican más, right? She's like, no, es que no sabe, no sé qué, like no me entiende, que yo no sé cómo eres una mesera. And then she's like, you don't know how to take an order. Like, she was telling me all of this in Spanish, like. And then back to when she's like, yo te conozco. She's like, tú eres la hija de like blank, right? Like, wasn't my mom's, she didn't say my mom's name, but she's like, my mom's last name, right? She said my mom's last name. And then I was like looking at her and I was like, well, yeah, I am, right? And I was like, see. And then she's like, yo me acuerdo de ti, tú fuiste like a la escuela con mi hijo, ¿verdad? And then he like stares at me, he's like, oh yeah, I went to school with you. And I was like, what? Like, this is awkward. Like, what's going on? Like, your mom's screaming at me literally for no reason. She's like so rude to me for no reason, and she just cussed me out, and you're just coming out of the bathroom and telling her to calm down. And like, she's telling you how like basically like ignorant I am, like how I don't know how to take like an order, which I don't know where I went wrong. Like, seriously, like, this could have been all avoided if I could have just been like, would you like 6, 12, 18, or 36? Give me a number. Okay, what sauce would you like? We have buffalo mild, medium, burning hot. Oh, okay, I'll have burning hot. All right, great, awesome. That's literally all you had to say. But no, this girl wanted to cause a whole riot. But I was just like, in my head, I was just thinking like, I'm not even like so mad. I'm just so like disappointed, as in like, how like sad, like how sad is it that you literally have the nerve to scream at somebody like that's a lot younger than you? And I've always been the one to respect like everybody, like not just because you're older than me or younger than me, everybody. Like, I've always been very nice, and I'm just there standing there. And then back to the story, she's like, yeah, you went to school with him. And then he's like, oh yeah, I went to school with you. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she's like, I remember I wanted you to date my son. Thank God you didn't even date my son, because like this and that, like you're so dumb and I don't know. And I was like, girl, one, back then I was already like with my boyfriend. So one, I have an amazing boyfriend. Two, I would not want a suegra like you. Mind you, my boyfriend's mom is like super nice, right? Like, and now I just laugh at it. Like, this was like a long time ago. Like, I was 16 years old. Like, you're talking about years back. So I was just like, I picked up the menus and I just walked away. And then like when I was about to like turn and walk away, and I was like, I'm gonna put your order in, and I was like literally about to walk away, she's like, ¿de qué hija eres? And I was like, and I turned back. She's like, ¿eres una de las mayores, verdad? No, eres una de las menores. Because like my grandma had like 8 girls and 2 boys. Something like that. I think she has like 11 kids, 10 kids. I'm not even sure. She has so many kids. Like, I can't even count them right now. But I was just looking at her and I was like, okay, like, Isamar, like, you're just staying quiet. Like, you need to say something. And like, mind you, I didn't want to say anything because that's rude. Like, I'm an employee there. Like, that just looks bad on me. And I told her, I'm like, ma'am, con todo su respeto, but I'm here to work, not to talk about my personal life, you know? Like, I told her, like, with all your respect, I'm here to work and not talk about my personal life, because one, that's very personal, like, you know? And then like, where my mom comes from, everybody knows each other. Like, it's such a small place. My mom is from Mexico, which is like, to be specific, she's from Bravo, and that lady was from China. And I was like, So everybody knows each other. Like my family and my boyfriend's family, they all know each other. Everybody like literally connects. Like it's like connect, you know? And I was just shook. I was like, I didn't want to tell her anything because I was like, she's gonna go talk bad about me, and I didn't even do anything bad. So I just walked away. I went and told my manager everything. I was literally like, you know, when you're so mad, like upset, you start to feel like your blood like boil. I literally felt like that, and like I could feel my face like so hot. And back then I was like a little bit darker than like I am now, and they even told me that I was red from my face. Like that's how mad I was. Like it literally like popped through my face. Like how? I don't know, because I'm not like güerita or anything, but it came through. Okay, everybody saw that I was red. I explained everything to my manager as everything was happening, so she was already like she already knew what was going on. So that was good, you know, because I feel like if it got worse, she already knew what was happening. And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, it did, right? So I go and tell the cooks like that this, like I was talking to one of the cooks, you know, and telling them like the whole story and stuff. And they put the sauce that she wanted, you know, and it's hot, right? So I bring them out, and I'm with another table, and she's like, hey, mija, te estoy hablando. And I was like, girl, I'm with, like, do you not see me like taking my other customers' orders? Like I'm about to pass by there because I have to pass by there to go to the back. Like, you're not gonna miss me, you know? And I go, I'm like, I'm sorry, like, I'll be right back, you know? And they're like, oh yeah, it's okay, right? Like, they even saw, like, this lady is, like, crazy or something, you know? So I go to her, I'm like, mándeme, right? She's like, and then she noticed that I was taking out drinks, like, of cups, like, in the tray, like, to the other customers, which I wasn't able to do it with her because she already had her bottled drinks. So she's like, ¿por qué le estás llevando bebidas a ellos en vasos, like, de vidrio? Like, I mean, I can't even, my tongue gets twisted. That, basically, why was I taking cups of glass, like, glasses to other people when they had, like, plastic bottles, you know? And I explained to them, I'm like, oh, it's because my manager explained, like, told me this and that, and you had a special for Carria. Okay, está bueno. And I was like, it's okay, Samar, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. She's gonna leave in a bit, it's okay, you know? So I just going on with my day, you know? And then they're ready to leave. So what's it called? I bring them, like, they told me, like, that, well, actually, she doesn't tell me. Her son tells me that that if they can have the check. And I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm like, well, it's actually gonna be in the front. My manager will print it out for you. And they're like, oh, okay. So they're getting up, and his little brother, like the 4-year-old, left so much trash on the floor. So so he starts cleaning up his little brother's mess for me, like, you know. While he's cleaning it up, his girlfriend tells him, why are you cleaning it up for her? That's her job, let her do her job. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, why are you so mean? Like, okay, I get it, like, yeah, I'm gonna clean up for you all, but that doesn't mean you have to take advantage and, like, make a whole mess and, like, not let him, like, at least help, like, a little bit, you know? Like, I wasn't even there, but I heard her, and, like, I was just like, whatever. I brushed it off. I go to the back, and I tell my manager that they're ready, like, to cash out, because normally I would be the one to cash out, but my manager had told me that she was gonna cash them out since I was already having problems with them, right? So my manager comes to the front, and I'm, like, next to my manager, but, like, like, in a distance, so they couldn't see me behind, like, the counter. And my manager prints out the receipt and gives it to them. And back, like, I'm not sure if it went up in price or low in price, but back then the price for 36 wings was, I believe, like $40, you know? So she sees the receipt, and she's like, what the heck is this? But, like, in Spanish. And then, like, but the actual bad word, you know? And, like, my manager's like, what? Like, she's like, ¿por qué me está cobrando bastante? ¿Dónde está la muchacha? Háblale a la muchacha. And, like, my manager's like, hey, Samar, like, they want to talk to you. And I'm like, mándeme, right? She's like, ¿qué me estás cobrando? She's like, yo no ordené esto. I'm like, ma'am, usted ordenó 36 alitas, right? She's like, no, ¿cómo me vas a estar cobrando esto? And, like, I was just there, like, girl, like, what? And I told her, I'm like, ma'am, like, you had said that you wanted 18 wings, but she had said that like, I'm like, la muchacha dijo, because I was talking to her in Spanish, I'm like, la muchacha dijo que si podía ordenar más because of your son wanted more, you know? And, like, her son is in the back, like, talking to the girlfriend, and he's like, is that true? Like, did she actually order that amount? And she's like, yeah, like, she was honest to her boyfriend, and her boyfriend tells him, like, tells his mom, ama, like, no más paga, like, si ordenaste eso, you know? No, ¿cómo? Like, no te estás metiendo, yo no ordené esto, like, me quiere cobrar más, me quiere ser, like, that I wanted to make her dumb. And I was like, okay, like I'm not mean like that. Like literally, I'm that server that always wanted you to pay less. Like I was always like offering deals, like telling you about the deals and stuff like that. Like I was like, you're so mean. Like she was just mean. Like she was just making my day like horrible. And like my manager looks at me, and like my manager was super cool with me, like thank God. Like the manager that was on shift, well, all of the managers were cool, but that specific manager was like my favorite one. And she's like looks at me and she's like is this true? Like, and I'm like, yeah, like that's what she said. And I explained to her like in English, you know. And then she's like, okay. And like she looks at the lady and she's like, did you eat all the wings? And then she's like, well, see. She's like, okay, well then you have to pay for them because like that's like product, like, you know. And then she's like, que chula. And I was like, oh my goodness, like not just me, but you're telling my manager stuff too now, like, you know. And my manager's like, yeah ma'am, like I'm sorry, you're gonna have to pay, like if you ate it, you know, like if it was wrong, like if you only wanted to pay for 18 wings, you should have told her, you know what I mean. And knowing that the truth was that she actually ordered 36 wings, but whatever. And right when I was like, okay, whatever, blah, yeah, she's already gonna pay, she's leaving, you know, blah, you know. No, she takes out like a coin, like bag, like, you know, her coin purse, and she starts counting quarters, like quarters, but like she was doing it sarcastically. She was like, a ver, este es un dólar. Her son is literally so embarrassed, like he has like a red face on, like he's just so embarrassed, right? And he was güerito, so you could see it in him, you know. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is even so embarrassing. Like this is embarrassing, like that I'm put in this position, like with a customer, you know. And he's like, ama, no más paga, like ya paga, like para qué haces eso, you know. Like he was telling his mom, like, why are you doing this? Like just pay already, you know. And she looks at him and she rolls his eyes, and she's like, she puts her like coins back in her purse, and she just takes out a $100 bill. And I was like, seriously, like why do you do that? Like why do you fight for it? Like why do you have to be so extra and count quarters? Just take out the $100 bill or your card or whatever and pay for it. Like why? Like I don't understand people. But she left. I was like so upset. Literally I felt like I wanted to cry, although I didn't, but I did feel like I wanted to cry because I was like, why are you, like, I don't know, that was like my first time ever having a very, very rude customer that cusses at me. Story number 2. So there is this lady that actually came, right, with her family. Her son was like a basketball player, and I believe that they had just came back from a basketball game because he was like in his jersey and stuff, and like they were all talking about like the game and stuff. And they were about like I believe like 6-7 people, so I put some tables together so they can have more space. And I sat them down, and I'm like, here you go. I'm like, my name is gonna, like, you know, I introduced myself as well. Can I get you started with a drink? You know, they told me about their drinks and stuff like that. And the mom, again with the moms, right, she ordered a raspberry tea, right? And what's it called, so in the raspberry teas you can't really notice if it's like flat or anything, but she ordered a raspberry tea. I bring out the drinks, you know, I'm like, here you go, like a Dr. Pepper, like, you know, here you go, a raspberry tea, you know, explaining the drinks and giving them to them, like, so I can make sure that they're all correct. So when I'm about to say, what can I get for you today, can I offer you any like starters, we have this and that, you know, she's like, and I was just like, okay, pause, you know. And then she's like, what is this? I'm like, ma'am, that's raspberry tea. And then she's like, this does not taste like raspberry tea. Can like you get me another tea? What kind of other teas do you have? I'm like, we only have raspberry tea and sweet tea and unsweet. She's like, that's it? You don't have like strawberry or like another type of like tea? And I was like, no ma'am, we only have raspberry tea and sweet tea and unsweet. She's like, I guess the sweet tea will do, and bring me lemons please, and then take my order. And I was like, oh girl. I was like, okay ma'am, I'm sorry about that, like I'll go ahead and get that out for you, I apologize. And I take the drink, I bring her the sweet tea, you know, and I obviously put ice in the sweet tea because the sweet tea was like hot, because like the way it's brewed, so it's hot, you know, you have to put ice. And then like her raspberry tea, she had asked to do without ice, but that one doesn't really matter because it's from the fountain, it's already cold. And then when I bring it back, she's like, why did you add ice? Did I ask you for ice? I'm like, ma'am, it's because the sweet tea is brewed and it would be hot. Like when I say hot, it's gonna taste like coffee, like hot, you know. She's like, okay, but did I ask you for ice? And I'm like, no ma'am, I just believed that you would want ice because it's hot. She's like, and why is it hot? And I'm like, because it's brewed sweet tea. She's like, you don't have like fountain sweet tea. And I was like, girl, like basically every restaurant you go, they usually always have brewed sweet tea. Like, you know, I'm like, no ma'am, we don't. Like, you know, I was like, no ma'am, we don't. I'm sorry about that, you know, but like being nice, not being sarcastic, you know. And then she's like, okay, I guess. And then she's like, take our order already because we're all hungry. And then I was like, okay. I'm like, and then I asked her like, what would you like? And while I'm trying to take the order, she's literally ignoring me and like talking to the person beside her. And I'm like, I can't take your order if you're not looking at me and you're not talking to me, you know. So I feel like so ignored, and I have to repeat it because I'm literally just being ignored. And that's when her daughter notices like that I'm just there standing there. She's like, Mom, are you gonna order? Because she's waiting for you. She's like, oh, I didn't even see you there. And I was like, what, am I invisible now? Like, am I invisible? Come on. Like, and I'm like, oh, that's fine. Like, I didn't really like take it like offensive. Like, I was just, when I was a server, like I was just very nice. I like try to brush everything off. I tried to get like the best experience out of everything, you know. But I just didn't like how people took advantage of my kindness. I don't know, I feel like you can tell that I was gonna be a kind person from the moment I like greeted you at the door. I was just very bubbly, you know. And I'm not saying that like to boost my own bubble, like no, like people would tell me this, and I had my regular customers that would only ask for me. But back to the story. So I take their order, I get their order, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in. Well, I bring out the order, and they had ordered boneless wings. So the boneless wings, when the cooks get them out and like they shake them, right, so the oil can all come off, sometimes they'll like rip, like they break, you know, like the wing, right? And when I went to go get the food, I would usually put it on the tray and I take it out myself. But since it was kind of busy that night, and I believe it was like around a Thursday, because that's usually when game days were, like Thursdays and Tuesdays, they had ripped. So I brought them out. I didn't even notice because there was so much food on a whole big tray, like that I had to take out. And mind you, like I feel like I'm not that tall now, and I'm not like, I feel like I'm petite now. Like back then I was like even smaller. So like imagine me, like a little 16-year-old, like trying to carry a big tray. I was trying to focus on not to drop the whole tray, you know. And like as I'm getting everything out, and I'm like, would you like anything else and stuff? And like I believe that they had asked for lemons, so I went back to get lemons, and I bring them back. And the girl, like, she tells me, like, the lady's like, these wings are not even good, and I don't know what. And then she's like, and I was like, oh, like, what's wrong with them, ma'am? And like, she's like, oh, they're ripped. And I'm like, okay, ma'am, I'll be right back. So I went to go tell my manager, and it was a different manager on that shift. So I tell my manager, and she's like, oh, it's fine. Like, I guess my manager was like fed up already. So my manager's like, you know what, just tell them that they can keep those, and we're gonna give them new ones, and we're not gonna charge either. So I came back, and I was like, ma'am, we're gonna go ahead and leave these here, and we're gonna go ahead and make other ones. And like, she cut me off. She's like, no, I want to speak to your manager. And I was like, okay, like that's fine. And I was like, but what I was gonna say is that we were gonna allow you to keep both, and we were not gonna charge. I want to speak to your manager. I was like, okay. So I go call my manager, and I was like, okay, like, we're being nice, like, you know, like, I don't know, I don't see why you complain. Like, one, okay, the sweet tea, I get it, I'm sorry you didn't like the raspberry tea, but it's not my fault that we don't carry other kinds of teas. And I mean, I put ice in it so you don't have a hot drink. Like, why would you want a hot tea, like, you know? So anyways, my manager comes, and my manager's explaining like this and that, like this and this, you know, talking to her about the situation. And my manager leaves, and like I go to like a couple, right? So there's like this couple, and it was their first time being at that restaurant. So I was explaining to them like about the menu and stuff. And as I'm talking to them, the lady screams at me from across the diner. Like, I'm seriously not even gonna lie to you, like I can't even make this up. She was at the corner of the left back dining room, and I was at the front right with the couple, like at the entrance with them. Literally, they were sitting next to the entrance. And then she like yells at me and like shouts at me like, hey, come here, I want to talk to you. And I was like, and I turned around, and I was like, what? Like, I don't know if she was talking to me. So I turned back around. She's like, I'm talking to you, server. And I was like, she caught me. I'm talking to you, server. Like, oh, okay. So I look at them, and I'm looking at the couple. I'm like, I'll be right back. And then like they're like, oh yeah, like go ahead, right? So I leave. And I'm like, yes. And then they're like, where's your manager? And I was like, let me go ahead and call her. So my manager was actually on the phone, right, with another manager, with the GM, I'm sorry, which is the manager that's in charge of like everybody. And she comes back and then she's like, oh, I talked to my GM, like this is what they said, this and this and that, because the lady was making it like a big problem, you know. And she's like, well, is there anybody here above you? And she's like, no ma'am, like I'm the only manager on the shift, that's why I went ahead and talked to my GM, this is what my GM told me, you know. And then they're like, no, I want to speak to somebody higher than your GM. And then she's like, okay, I can go ahead and give you the number to call, because like, you know, like corporate, I guess, because like there's nobody here, it's just me and then the GM, which I already spoke to on the phone because he's not here, you know. And the lady was making it a big problem, you know. She's like, okay, well, can you serve me at least? I don't want that little girl serving me. And I was like, girl, like I'm nice, like I'm really nice, like I don't even understand like why you're being so mean to me. But okay, like I just like left it up. I went along with my other tables. But yeah, that was like my second story. And I have like another little quick story, but I'm just gonna make this little quick. So this one's actually more funny. So as a server, I did have couples come in, right? And like most of them were always nice, you know, like pretty much all of them. But I did have some couples where the girls were extremely jealous. And I had this one case where the girl, I was like, hi, like my name is Isamar, like, you know, like the basic, like, you know, the introducing myself, you know. And I asked them, what can I get for you to drink? And I will not forget what they ordered. The girl ordered a Sprite and her boyfriend ordered a sweet tea, right? She didn't let him, like she just said, oh, I'm gonna have a Sprite, he's gonna have a sweet tea. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't like see like that was weird, because she was like, oh, have a Sprite, he's gonna have a sweet tea. Like, okay, like cool, right? So I bring it out and I'm like, okay, like what would you like to order and stuff. She ordered for herself, and like instead of him ordering and telling me, she was like, what are you gonna order? Like, do you want that? Yeah, he's gonna have this and this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I don't remember what they ordered, but I do remember their drinks. And I put in the order, I brought out their plates, and I was gonna put one plate and then one plate for him. She literally took the plate out of my hand and was like, I'll give it to him. And I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, right? So I just walked away, and like in my head I was like, this girl literally me rebató el plato, and she put it for him. And that's when I started to think like things are kind of fishy around here, right? Well, I went on and on, you know, and then I was with my other tables and I overheard him saying that he wanted a refill. And she said, I'll tell her you want a refill. Don't tell her you want a refill. And I was like, what the heck? So I was talking to a customer while hearing this, like, you know, conversation. And I passed by and she's like, excuse me, he wants a refill. And I'm like, oh, okay. And later on, like probably like 10 minutes later, the food comes out. So I bring the food. I'm like, here you go. Like, does everything look nice? Here, I repeated the order. I'm like, would you like any dressings? Would you like any lemons? Anything else that you might be missing? And she's like, no. And he was about to say something like, oh, and then she's like, what do you need? And then he's like, oh, I believe he wanted like some type of sauce. And like he tells her, he's like, oh, I just want, I'm like, oh, okay. Like since he said it, I'm like, okay, I'll be right back. Like she still repeated it to me, like he wants this sauce. And I was like, okay. And then I go on about, I bring them back the sauce, you know. And then she calls me over. I'm like, yes, how can I help you? And she's like, I would like the tab. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, like let me bring it to you, right? So I bring the tab and I give it to her. As I'm walking away, she tells him, here, go pay, hurry. She's like, and don't even leave her a tip. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like she told him, hurry up and go pay. One, like that's kind of mean. Like, you know, like obviously like most of the times when you go on a date, like the guy will pay for you, but like for your girlfriend, or like I don't know who she was to him, I'm pretty sure that was his girlfriend, to tell you, like just imagine me telling my boyfriend like, here Brian, go pay, hurry. Like I'd be like that's so mean. Like no, like that's not something you do, you know. And then I tell him like, don't even leave her a tip. Like that's kind of mean too, like, you know, like that's something I could never do. Like that's just so mean. And thankfully, and like that Brian and I are not like that. Like that is crazy to me. But I'm behind the counter and she left to the bathroom, and like he pays and stuff with like, he's like with my manager, like paying and stuff, and like he asks for cash back, and he's like, here you go, like, and like he like sneaks it into like to me, like, you know, and he's like, I didn't want to leave it at the table because I don't want her to get mad. I'm like, oh, okay, like, thank you, like, you know, and I just put it in like the little apron that I had on, and I was like, that's so sad. But that is it for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed this little story time with me. Let me know if y'all want a part 2. But like I said, remember, when you go to restaurants or stores and stuff, please try to be as nice as possible to the employees. You know, you never know what they're going through, and we're all equal. Don't ever belittle anybody. But like, obviously, if somebody is being rude to you, don't be rude back. Just ask for a manager to make things like easier and smoother. But thank y'all so much for the support. Thank you so much for watching, and like I said, give it a big thumbs up, leave a comment down below, make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and turn on your bell button. That way you don't miss a video every time I post. But until next time, bye guys.